here's what I have to say when it comes to XCN, even though nothing I say is financial advice, because actually I was going to make a video on the Onyx AI Agent V2 and I was going to talk about the fundamentals of that. But then I saw XCN have a pretty okay, I would say, rally in the past 24 hours. Now, I'm still going to talk about that though, again, the Onyx AI Agent, but I want to talk about the price first because I found it to be pretty interesting. Not too long ago, I saw XCN, the market cap was, it was okay. It wasn't doing the best though. It was under 200 million, then now we're seeing around 220 million. Now, people may be thinking, well, how does that even seem that interesting? Like, why is over a 10% movement so kind of fascinating? Well, I don't think it's the most fascinating thing out there, but when things are so boring and when there's like kind of nothing going on, even sometimes something doing 10% in 24 hours seems a little bit interesting to me. It's like, for instance, if let's say I don't have the internet, if let's say, I kind of wasn't doing anything, and then I have like a CD or like a Blu-ray on Fast and Furious, even though maybe if let's say in a hypothetical situation I've watched that 20 times, it's like, hey, you know what? It's better than being bored, I guess. That's just my point of view. So when I take a look at something like this, I guess it's something to keep me a little bit entertained when things are looking kind of boring. At least that's, again, my perception. Now, people may be thinking, okay, what is going to happen? Now, by the time this video comes out, maybe there is a pullback when it comes to XCN. The reason why I say that is because I don't think this is an altcoin season currently. Like, I don't think that we're seeing this kind of movement generally when it comes to altcoins. So there's probably going to be a ceiling, I think, hypothetically, for something like this. Now, what will that ceiling be? Who knows? Could there be a pullback by the time I make this video? Who knows? But if there isn't one, again, I can't control that. But I think that without an altcoin season, there's probably going to be a ceiling. That's just my perspective. It's like, for instance, I saw ICP not too long ago. It was like slightly below $3 and then it went to like around 9 and then it like dipped again. Like when that movement happened, because there was no altcoin season, because the sentiment wasn't doing the best when it comes to altcoins, that kind of just on its own type of movement, like independently moving like that, like sometimes there's a ceiling for altcoins, I think, especially during a time like this. So when it comes to XCN, at least it's pretty interesting to me seeing something like this, but I think hypothetically without an altcoin season, there's probably going to be a ceiling. So I'm not like that excited, but I'm pretty excited considering how there isn't really much going on. It's like, again, like the example that I used before. If I can't watch anything, sure, I'll watch Fast and Furious for the 21st time, I guess. But yeah, besides that, I mean, even with this movement, right? XCN currently, it may be different by the time I upload this video, but I'm just saying, XCN currently is still around 40 times lower than 25 cents. So in the grand scheme of things, we're not talking about even such a like drastic movement at all, in my perspective. Like it's not bad considering the sentiment right now, but if we just kind of zoom out, right, we take a look at the yearly chart when it comes to XCN, in the past year, we saw XCN at one point go to a market cap of around $1 billion. Right now, it's around 200 million. Like it's still like what, around 80% lower than where it was basically less than a year ago. But to me, why haven't I given up when it comes to XCN? Well, it's because I'm still a fan of the fundamentals. And also I feel like what is XCN experiencing right now, again, this pullback, like this is not just a specialized event where it's only XCN. A lot of altcoins are also experiencing something kind of similar to this. Now, some may be holding up a little bit better than the others, and some may not be holding up as good in some cases as well. But generally, a lot of altcoins are down like by quite a significant amount when compared to, let's say, in the beginning of 2025 or near the end of 2024. So it's not only just XCN. Actually, if we take a look at Onyx and its kind of most closest direct competitors, like for instance XDC, something like ZBCN, something like XPR, something like Swiftcoin, something like XLM also, they're not generally doing as good as they were not too long ago. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are also having a pullback within this space of global trade and finance, and also just the whole kind of, I would say, space overall. It's not only just for projects within the specific sector, it's also for a bunch of other projects which are focused on other sectors as well. So I'm not necessarily concerned, personally in my case, even though clearly I am not telling anyone to do anything, but this is the way I view something like XCN currently. So yeah, when it comes to this, that's what I have to say when it comes to the price. Now I'm going to talk about Onyx AI Agent V2 because not too long ago I saw how Onyx made a post and they said how basically the Onyx AI doesn't like just hypothetically support the hypothetical deployment of tokens when it comes to the XCN layer 3, but it's also like supporting something like, for instance, Base, which is Coinbase's layer 2, by the way. So yeah, also on top of that, I take a look at Ethereum, BNB Chain. Of course, they're very massive currently within this space. So I find that pretty cool when it comes to Onyx. Now, granted though, it's not like this is going to be the most revolutionary thing of all time, but at least it's something I can look at. A lot of people like to tell me, stop talking about Onyx's, layer one blockchain, which is called Goliath, by the way. But sometimes people like to tell me that. But in my perspective, if I don't talk about that when it comes to Onyx, what else could I really talk about other than that, or maybe the Onyx AI agent? You know what I mean? Like Onyx doesn't have too much going on for it, fundamentally, in my perspective, when compared to some other projects out there. So when it comes to this, people like to say, why do you mention that? Well, it's because that's literally kind of the focus of the project right now, in my point of view, right, in the grand scheme of things, because we take a look at what is the most talked about thing. It's layer one blockchain, which is still in the testnet, by the way, but I'm just saying, and as well as this, right, the AI agent. So that's kind of it. It's not like some other projects out there which have a bunch of things going on. But again, I don't necessarily view it as such a bad thing personally in my perspective, because it's not like Onyx is the only one that doesn't have much going on. Like a bunch of other projects don't have too many things going on either, which I don't think necessarily is such a disappointing thing for me as well at times, because it shows that they're kind of focusing on one or two things, arguably, or just kind of a couple things, and not just focusing on way too many different aspects of the project. And then we don't really know which one is going to get finished or which one is really going to be focused on. So there's kind of two ways that I could take a look at this. But in the meantime, I am still a fan when it comes to Onyx, because if I was a fan of it, it just in my perspective, right? I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but if I was a fan of it back in literally, let's say December of 2024, and I was still a fan of it in January of 2025, am I suddenly not going to be a fan of it as of right now? Granted, it's had a pullback ever since January, but actually when I was holding XCN for the first time, like the market cap was what? Around 70 million? Even at times it was like dipping below 70, right? If I was a fan back then, now that the market cap is around 200 million, am I going to be complaining too much? Well, if I was holding since just January, yes. I mean, probably I'd be like, oh, wow, what's going on? But at the same time, if even I held since January and I still have a mindset that I haven't seen an altcoin season during the cycle, I don't know if I would necessarily give up personally in my case. I can't speak on anyone's behalf. But keep in mind, I did even dollar cost average as well back in January. So, theoretically, what I dollar cost average back then into XCN in January, it's still down by quite a lot. But then I've been dollar cost averaging like once a month ever since kind of that near almost the end of 2024. So I've been dollar cost averaging at one point, and then it did this, and then just kind of dollar cost averaging like that. But again, I just haven't seen an altcoin season, so I feel like how can I fully evaluate this cycle if I have not seen an altcoin season? And who knows, right? It could happen or it could not. But I'm just personally staying patient and just holding, because I'm still a fan of the project and I still like what they're doing. Even though they're not doing too many things, at least they're focused on things which I find pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to make this video real quick and talk about what I have to say when it comes to Onyx and just how I feel currently. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.